Shall we begin?
Let's begin now.
Hi everybody, it's Doreen, or Do 4x4, and I'm back today as I promised in a previous video, and I promised before I took my break that I was going to come back and do some Gypsy one-on-one or 101 tutorials, since I got a lot of my subscribers asking if I could do some Gypsy one-on-one tutorials or just some of the basics on how to use your Gypsy. Now, before we get started with this, I want to talk about something that happened to me. It'll actually be a week today, and it's something that I am very upset about, and I wanted to go ahead and just get this out. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are probably going to think that, you know, it was my fault and that I should have done something about it earlier. But what I'm referring to is Provocraft puts out updates every so often for your Cricut Imagine, your Cricut Expression 2, your Gypsy, and actually all of their products. And I've always been one that I don't typically normally do the updates right away, because I've seen people when reading on the Cricut message board where they've done the update and the update didn't work, and they've had major problems with their Gypsies afterwards. So on February 9th or 10th, I believe, Provocraft put out an update for your Gypsy, and I believe it was also for the Cricut Mini. And what it was supposed to fix is some people were having problems with their Gypsies. When you would go to do a search on your Gypsy would go back to the welcome screen. Or if you turned on your Gypsy, you would sit at the welcome screen and wouldn't go any further. So I've done previous updates and I've had no problems when I've done the updates. So I did something that I should not have done. I decided to go ahead and do the update, and I didn't check the message board before I did the update. And also, I did the update on the Friday before Valentine's Day. Now, because I had already finished my Valentine's Day project, I wasn't concerned that, you know, I shouldn't do the update or anything like that. So what I went ahead and did was I went ahead and did the update on Sunday morning. After I completed the update, it seemed to go fine. When I went to go ahead and start working on my Gypsy one-on-one tutorials, my Gypsy, when I turned it on, took a while to get to the welcome screen. Okay, to me that wasn't a good sign. Then once I tapped on to go to the next screen to start my project, or to start explaining how what the different menus mean on the Gypsy, they went to that screen and then it just sat there. And no matter how many times I tapped on it, nothing happened. And it sat there for almost 20 minutes before it finally didn't do anything. So now I'm panicking because I did something that I'm going to warn everybody now. Whatever you do, make sure that you back up your projects. And I would suggest back up every project that you create. As soon as you create the project and you're done for the day working on your project, go to your computer and back it up. I should know better because I work at a help desk for the computers, and we back up throughout the day. As a matter of fact, the place where I work, we have one person that's all their job is to do, is to back up files, because we have over 5,000 users that use our computers. So I always back up my computer at home. I back it up every other week. But And I do back up my Gypsy, except when I finished my Christmas projects, I decided I was taking a break, as I said, and I was going to move on and work on something else. And at the time, in January, when I started getting ready to start my projects again, I thought that I had backed up everything. So when I started this update, I didn't do a backup before I started the update. So that's what I'm warning everyone now, and I'm recommending that you do, is back up your projects, number one. And if you don't want to back them up, if you're creating a lot of projects and you don't want to keep backing the projects up, I would recommend that you at least back up before you do an update. And the reason why I say this is because after not being able to get into my Gypsy or work on my Gypsy all day Sunday, I then called Provocraft on Monday. And I was on hold for almost 45 minutes waiting for someone to come on the phone. When the person came on the phone, all they said to me was, they told me to try a couple of things that I had already done, and that didn't work. So they told me they would take my name and number and someone would call me back because they didn't know why I was having the problems. Even after I explained that I had done the update on Friday. Is there a problem with the update? The person on the phone told me that they did have a few people calling saying that they were having the same problems I was, but as of yet, they don't know what's causing it, and that I should go ahead and just wait for them to call me back. So that was on Monday, the 11th of February. So now, I didn't call them on Tuesday. I didn't call them on Wednesday because I was waiting for them to call me back. So then I decided I really needed to get going with my project. So I decided to contact them. Now, this is not the first time that I've received poor customer service from Provocraft. I received it once before when my Cricut would not sync or link to my Gypsy. So I called. I got three different people, because I had to keep asking to speak to the person's supervisor because they were very rude and nasty on the phone. And once I did get someone who was a lot better, she took my name and number and said that they would have to send me another Cricut, and I would have to send the one that I had back so that they could repair that one, and then they would just give me another one. They were going to send me a sticker that would pay for the shipping and handling for me to send the Cricut back. Well, needless to say, I didn't want to send the Cricut back until I got another one to replace mine. And once I did get that, I did send the one that was my original one back to Provocraft. So now I'm all ready and set to go ahead and use my Cricut. And guess what? This Cricut didn't work either. The problem with this Cricut was when I went to put my cartridge in and I wanted to set the size. I wasn't going to use my Gypsy because it was just something I needed to cut real quick. And so when I went to change the size button to make it a different size, the button didn't work. No matter how much I turned it, nothing would happen. So once again, I had to call Provocraft. And when I called them back, the person on the phone was once again rude. They told me I must have dropped it or I broke it. And I'm trying to explain to her that I just plugged it in and the power button does not turn on. So they told me they would not send me another Cricut until they received the one that they sent me, meaning the second one, back to them. And I said I didn't feel comfortable with that because how did I know they were really going to send me one? And then the person on the phone proceeded to say, well, you people when we send them to you, you don't send them back. I was very offended by this. And as I said before, I do work at a help desk, and I know what it's like to have someone on the phone yelling and screaming at you in anger. But I wasn't even doing that. So I guess this is a rant video, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but I just wanted to point out how I have had nothing but rude service from the people at Provocraft, to the point where I did write a letter, and someone did call me back and apologize for the way I was treated on the phone when I sent the Cricut back. I plan on writing another letter about the incident that happened with my Gypsy and when I called. When I did call and she asked me what was the problem, I said, well, I just explained that I called on Monday. I told her everything that had happened. She then proceeded to take me through the same steps that the other person had taken me through. And then after 30 minutes of this, she told me that I was going to have to reformat my Gypsy and I would lose whatever I had on there. This is why I'm telling everyone to do a backup. Because if you don't, you will lose everything. Now, mind you, I did have a backup from November. That was before I did the Thanksgiving card series. So anything that I did after Thanksgiving up until now, I no longer have on my Gypsy because I had to reformat. And once I reformatted, I then had to, which took, I would say, about 2.5 to 3 hours. I then had to get my files on my computer from the backup to put back onto the Gypsy. Then after all of that, I had to relink all the 112 cartridges that I have. So now, I'm not saying that the Gypsy is bad, because I do love my Gypsy. I'm just wanted to warn everyone, if you are going to do an update with any of Provocraft's products, well, I guess you can't have a backup for your Cricut. But I'm just warning you, if you're going to do a update on your Gypsy, please, I can't stress this enough, back up your projects. So now I'm done ranting and raving. So let's get started on Gypsy 101. Okay, everybody, so now I'm back and we can get started with Gypsy 101. Now we're going to go over the basics with this first video, and then we'll do some more tutorials on some more different videos. So what I've done, and I've had several people ask me about this, about my stylus. Because of the fact that I have hardwood floors in my house, I had a tendency when I would pull my stylus, and this is what you use to tap your screen, I would drop it. And when I dropped it on the hardwood floor, this piece would break off. After going through 4 of these, I decided I got to come up with some kind of way that I don't keep dropping this thing. The other thing that I would have a tendency to do is sit it down somewhere while I was crafting, and then I would forget where it was. So I just took some cording that I bought at Joann's, and I hooked it on the bottom here, right here, and just tied it. And then I tied it to the top of my stylus. And in that way, when I go somewhere or walk off with the Gypsy, it doesn't fall and hit the floor. So right now I have my charger plugged in, and that's only because I've been using it all morning and it needed to charge up. So we're going to go ahead and take out our stylus, and we're going to turn on the Gypsy. So your power button is over here on the side, right here. And you just hold that in until you see the Gypsy loading screen. And I apologize for this glare. I've got a little screen, non-glare screen protector across here so I wouldn't get fingerprints all over the actual screen of the Gypsy. So as you can see, I've been tapping quite a bit because it's got a bunch of scratches and so forth on there. But that's not on my actual screen, that's on the sheet protector. So now, we are at the welcome screen. And you have your choices of the little cricket bug, the photo, and this is for if you decided to take some pictures of your projects or some pictures of anything and you want to put them on your Gypsy. That's the button you would hit there. And then we have the little wrench, which is actually your setup button. So, and as I said, this is going to be Gypsy 101. So if you already know how to do these parts, then forgive me if this is easy to you. You don't have to watch the video, or maybe there's something on here that you didn't know about your Gypsy, because I'm finding that as I'm doing this tutorial, there's things on here that I didn't even know my Gypsy could do. So we're going to start and just go to the little wrench, which is your setup, and I'm going to tap on that. And what I basically get, and this is what you would do when you first receive your Gypsy, you're going to go through and you can just go ahead and change the screen brightness, and I'm going to need to put my glasses on, sorry about that. And you can change the screen timeout. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. I hope I don't mean to make anyone dizzy. There we go. So you have your screen timeout, and then you have your screensaver timeout, which to me, okay, I get it. I'm sorry, I didn't read that all the way. See, as I said, there's things on here that I didn't know. The screensaver timeout, when it's on battery power, I have set it 30 seconds. The screensaver timeout, when it's plugged in, is 15 minutes. And then the same thing for the screen brightness. I have on battery power, I have it on high, and then on plugged in, meaning plugged into your charger, it's on maximum. So the next thing, options you have is you have your set date and time, which mine is already set. My time is off, and that's because of what happened when I had to reformat back to the beginning. So I'll go in later and set my time, because I'm not sure what time it is right now. I'm not near a clock. And the date is the same. So we'll cancel back out of that screen. And then you have your calibrate screen. And basically what your calibrate screen is, that's the screen you'll get when you first set up your Gypsy. And what it is you're actually formatting how you're going to tap on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead, and all you're doing is tapping the cross hatches. And there's one up there in the corner, and then there's one in the center. And that's basically what that's for. So we're going to exit out of here. And then, as I said before, you have your photo mat, or photo, and it'll start loading the photo applications. And these are things that automatically came with the Gypsy when you first purchase it. It has pictures of the Cricut Expression, the Cricut Expression 1, the 2, the Gypsy, and Gypsy 1. I'm not sure why it has so many different versions. I guess they're trying to show you how portable the Gypsy is. So, okay everybody, so now to exit out of this, I'm going to hit my button, this little button right here, and I'm going to hit exit program, and it should take me back to the welcome screen. So now we're ready to actually go to the Cricut application. And this is where you're going to go ahead and pick your new project, open previous projects, link your cartridges, upload or open as a template, update your Cricut, and where you can delete files. So now, if you're going to hit on the new button, that means that you're going to be creating a new project, and when you click or tap new, you have your mat sizes. Now this is what the Gypsy update was supposed to be for. It was to add the new mat, which is for the Cricut Mini. I believe that one's 8.5 by 11. So right now, because what they ended up doing, since they had such problems and so many callers calling in and emailing them that the update was not working properly, they went back to the previous version, so you don't have the mat size for the Cricut Mini. So you have the 12 by 6, which is your Baby Bug or your Cricut Create. Then you have the 12 by 12 and the 24 by 12, which are for your Cricut Expressions 1 and 2. So let's go back now, and then your next option will be Open, which that will open any projects that you have created already. And as you can see, I have some projects here, and you'll get a little preview pane window over here on the right for the project that you've named and created. So you can just go ahead and take your up and down arrow and then tap on your project, and then you can click OK to open your project. So let's move on. So now the next option is Open as a Template. And when you open as a template, it's basically opening it for you. You can go ahead, create what you want, and it is actually a template. It's sort of like, it's just a draft of a project or something that you worked on that you want to continually keep that, so you don't have to keep putting it in every single time. And I've done that as far as my cards. When I want to design a card that is 4 1/4, I actually have a template right here, and I would open my project as a template, go ahead, design, save it as a different name, and then I still can go back later, and then I won't have to go in and put all of these measurements in again for the 4 1/4 template or 4 1/4 card. And then this option here, right here, is to update your Cricut. And then you have the option of delete file. Now, one thing you have to remember about this is once you delete the file, it's gone. You're not getting it back unless you have it as a backup. So, and then the final one is link your cartridges. So that's the very beginning of Gypsy 101. So don't forget to come back, and we're going to go over linking a cartridge, because I have had to relink my 112 cartridges, but I do have 2 new cartridges that I didn't link, so that I can show you how to link your cartridges. So don't forget to come back, everybody, and thanks for watching. Bye.